Dimensius. This is a massive 3-phase fight with a flying intermission. In Phase 1, you'll gather mass from adds to survive the boss's Devour ability. The intermission will have you flying through space to 2 different platforms. Phase 2 is a race to kill 2 mini-bosses while the boss throws chunks of the world at you, and Phase 3 is a DPS race where you'll use safe zones to survive a new version of the Devour. Phase 1. There are 2 gateways that lead to the boss. As soon as one player takes a gateway, the boss fight begins, so get everyone into position and use a countdown timer to ensure a smooth start. The boss platform is a half circle around the boss, and the raid needs to be split into 2 groups, one for the left side and one for the right side. Positioning is very important for this phase, so let's cover the main mechanic first. When the boss reaches 100 energy, he tries to devour the raid. Anyone devoured is instantly killed. In order to prevent this from happening, the raid needs to create a collective gravity zone, which is created when at least 2 players stack together with excess mass. Excess mass is an orb that's dropped by the living mass adds, and these adds are spawned by the boss. Kill the add, it drops an orb, a player runs over it and then picks it up. If those 2 players stack, they create a zone that prevents the boss from devouring anyone inside. So now let's go back to positioning. When you first visit the platform, there are 2 adds, one on the left and one on the right. The raid is going to focus these guys down ASAP except for the tanks. The primary tank is going to immediately grab the boss and head to the center of the platform. Every melee attack the boss does will knock anyone close by up and backwards, so it's vital that tanks stay away from the 2 sides. After the adds go down, 2 people need to grab this excess mass. Shortly after this, the boss will start his Devour. The entire raid needs to run to the center of the platform where the tank was and stack to create a gravity zone. Once Devour is finished, the raid needs to go back to the original sides while the active tank remains in the middle. After a few other attacks, more adds spawn, and for the second Devour, both sides can stack where they are. So you'll have a group on the left side and a group on the right side. If you're hitting a third Devour, the entire raid will need to meet in the middle of the arena in order to survive it. Reason being is that the boss has a growing hunger buff that stacks with each Devour. If this number is larger than your collective gravity buff, then you can't negate the pool. Alright, now let's cover the rest of the mechanics. Massive Smash is the tank buster, and you're going to want to swap after each hit. This places a large ring around the tank, and once used, knocks the entire raid backwards, so make sure you're not standing too close to the edge or you'll get knocked off. This also spawns the living mass adds. They can't be tanked, they just deal random damage to players. Shattered Space is going to mark 2 circles on both ends of the platform. You want to stay away from these for now. Once spawned, it will send out a bunch of circles that need to be avoided, but each side then needs to quickly move and stack inside of this antimatter zone in order to remove it. It deals 2 big bursts of damage every 5 seconds, and that damage is dependent on how many people are soaking this zone. Reverse Gravity is going to target 2 players on each side. You need to move to the back edge of the platform as this is going to launch you into the air and move you towards the boss. Players with excess mass need to stand underneath of these players in their circle in order to pull them back down to safety. Dark Matter is his last minor ability. This just places circles around everyone, so space out accordingly. Phase 1's abilities. Devour. The 100 energy attack consumes any player that is not in a collective gravity zone after 5 seconds. Living Mass, these are the adds that spawn and they deal random damage to players. Collective Gravity is a safe zone created when at least 2 players with excess mass stack on top of each other. This negates the Devour pool. Massive Smash. This is the tank buster that knocks everyone backwards, summons adds, and applies a 100% damage increase debuff to the tank. Antimatter. These are large spheres that last for 10 seconds, and they deal massive raid damage every 5 seconds, but that damage is reduced based on the amount of players soaking the attack. Fist of the Voidlord. This is the boss's melee attacks. They cleave anyone that's close by, knocking them up into the air. The Intermission. When the boss's health is depleted, you will be pulled into space. After the brief pep talk by Xalatath, you will be able to mount your flying mount. If you don't mount up, you will fall into space and die. Once mounted, you'll fly through the rings to the first platform where you'll fight a mini-boss. There are things that can kill you while flying, but if you're flying straight from one ring to another, you'll be fine. After you beat the first mini-boss, you will again mount up and fly through more rings to the next mini-boss. As a final note, there is a stellar core below the mini-boss's platform that if you collect will reduce the mini-boss's HP by 5%, but only one person can grab these so you can't stack it. Phase 2. You will land on 2 platforms when flying, and each platform has its own mini-boss. You must kill these guys before they reach 100 energy, otherwise it's a wipe. Positioning and awareness is extremely important here. The mini-boss is going to summon a cross of adds that divides up the platform. Everyone needs to be on the side that's closest to Dimensius. On the first platform, that will be to the east if you're looking at the minimap, and on the second platform, that will be to the north. The raid needs to quickly burn down the first Voidwalker ad that's next to the center circle. This will allow the raid to move left and right on the platform, which is crucial for avoiding the boss's first attack. Dimensius will raise back one of his arms. Whichever arm that is, you need to quickly run to the far opposite side of the platform. This is the only telegraph for this attack. He is going to throw a large chunk of the world at the platform and it will kill anyone hit. The safe zone here is small, so pay attention. After this, the raid needs to quickly burn down the next Voidwalker ad that's closest to the circles, which allows the raid to move up and down. Once dead, the entire raid needs to run to the closest point towards Dimensius, as he will do a very strong pushback, trying to knock everyone off. Those Void Warden ads do nasty damage, so you want to make sure that you have a safe lane to move through. Aside from that, the two mini-bosses only have one ability. The first has a frontal line attack that needs to be sidestepped, and the second puts a ring around him that deals damage to anybody inside once it explodes. Tanks do need to be aware that their melee attacks apply a stacking debuff called Touch of Oblivion, and if it reaches 15 stacks, you're insta-killed, so make sure you're taunting at around 10. Just a final note on the Void Warden ads, when one dies, it fully heals the other ads near them, so make sure you're focusing the main target down. Phase 3. The final showdown. At the start, Dimensius will be stunned and take 50% increased damage for 15 seconds, so pop Lust. The raid will again be avoiding his Devour attack, but this time you'll be using the Void Stars that are rotating around him. Standing underneath of one of these Void Stars will negate the Devour pull, but keep in mind that they do not stop rotating, so make sure you're still moving with it. The boss will use Supernova, which turns one of these Void Stars into a black hole. You want to run away from this as it's happening, as it deals less damage the further away you are. Those black holes continue rotating around the room with the other Void Stars, so make sure you're paying attention for Devour. Touching a black hole will insta-kill you. The other main mechanic here is called Darkened Sky. Dimensius calls down 3 large objects that smash into the ground. These are staggered impacts, and that's important. You want to avoid the circle, but once they crash down, it sends out a Shadowquake ring from the impact zone. Each time you pass through a Shadowquake ring, it deals damage and applies a stacking debuff that increases the next ring's damage by 100%. This debuff lasts for 3 seconds. So you want to pass through the first ring, wait 3 seconds, pass through the second ring, wait 3 seconds, and then pass through the final ring. Cosmic Collapse is the tank mechanic, and it's shown by a ring, so make sure you're staying away from everyone and taunt after each use. Tanks also need to be aware that this debuff does not fall off, so the longer this fight goes, the harder this is going to hit. Aside from that, the boss occasionally puts an 8-second dot on players that slows your movement speed. Phase 3's abilities. Destabilized. The boss takes 50% increased damage for 15 seconds. Extinguish the stars. This creates 8 void stars that will rotate around the boss. These generate gravity wells, which negates Devour. Supernova. The boss destroys a void star, and this deals raid damage that decreases the further away you are. Darkened Sky calls down 3 large objects that kill anyone if hit, and then sends out a Shadowquake ring from each impact zone. Shadowquake rings deal damage and apply a stacking debuff that increases Shadowquake damage by 100% for 3 seconds. Cosmic Collapse. This is the Tank Buster, which deals damage to anybody inside, and applies a stacking debuff increasing cosmic damage by 150%. Role-specific duties. Tanks. Phase 1. Stay in the center of the platform, swap after each massive smash. In Phase 2, keep the mini-bosses close to the Void Warden ads for cleave. Pay attention to where Dimensius is and which arm he's using. In Phase 3, swap after each Cosmic Collapse, and keep in mind that this debuff does not fall off, so plan your cooldowns accordingly. Healers. Expect constant pulses of raid damage throughout every phase, as most of Dimensius' attacks hits everybody. There is plenty of downtime between each phase transition and the flying areas, so mana will constantly be refilling. Because of the downtime, make sure you're actively using all of your cooldowns. DPS. Phase 1, kill living mass ads quickly for their orbs, and help soak antimatter. During Phase 2, burn down the targeted Void Warden ads very quickly. Pay attention to where Dimensius is and which arm he is using. In Phase 3, pop all your big cooldowns at the start to take advantage of the 50% damage increase. Stagger your Shadowquake ring hits and actively use your defenses. And that's it! Shout out to these channel members. If this video helped them, press the thumbs up. Subscribe if you enjoy WoW content. Become a channel member for 99 cents a month. It gives you early ad-free access to all my videos. Also check out my Prefessional merch. I'll see you in the next one.